Hi, welcome to Anaprime Recap. You receive a ring of magic that conjures demonic flames capable of turning anything to ashes. We continue our journey into the underworld of the anime. Welcome to Demon School. Episodes 10, 11 and 12. The big day of the execution canon arrives for all the students of the Babel's institution. Iruma prepares for the long-awaited test by eating a nice breakfast. As usual, Clara and Asmodeus arrive at their friend's residence to go to school together. Some students are confident, others are afraid, and some don't care at all if they are going up a level. Professor Caligo's class gathers in the sports court in the basement. The tutor warns that the rules will be gone over again and everyone should pay close attention. With a simple snap of his fingers, Caligo invokes the fluffy panel again to dictate the exam instructions. First, it is explained that the students must split into two rival teams, and the one that is hit by the ball must go out of the field, but they can still throw the ball at their opponents. However, even if they hit someone, they cannot return to the field. Everyone is free to use spells on the ball, but it is forbidden to use spells directly on the other participants. At the end of the explanation, the teacher destroys the fluffy explanation board once again, telling everyone that there will be positive rank changes for the winning team, and negative rank changes for the losing team. That said, he hands out armbands to the students, separating the class into two teams. Team A carries the yellow armband, and Team B wears the red armband. Clara is happy because she ends up with Iruma in the same team, while Asmodeus is surprised when he is placed in the red team. The boy complains to his teacher, but the man replies that he put the two on separate teams so that there would be a balance between the two teams. The boy Wonder accepts the tough decision and ends up thinking of ways to help his friend even though he is on the rival team. After everyone has been divided, Caligo gives the order to start the execution cannon. The red team begins to think of a strategy to decide who they will eliminate first. Meanwhile, Asmodeus continues to think about how he can help his friend win the competition. The ball is quickly taken from the group by another student, who has taken advantage of his classmates' carelessness. Sabnok at that moment has the ball pose and asks his rivals, which one would be his first victim. Karoli is afraid of being hit and quickly conjures an ice barrier in front of her. The bully boy then throws the ball in her direction, completely destroying her icy defense, causing the ball to hit her head lightly. Kamui, at high speed, holds the ball and saves his teammate from being eliminated, but he takes the ball to the enemy side, offering it to a classmate. And obviously for invading the enemy's court, he ends up being eliminated from the court, generating a great revolt from his team, which is enraged by his attitude. When Karoli was approaching the ball to make a new throw, she noticed that several others were appearing in the middle of the field, causing great confusion in all the participants. The person responsible for this magic is Clara, who was conjuring several balls from her magic pockets, bringing disorder to both teams. While everyone is making a racket to find the real test ball, Agaras, who always looked sleepy, is overcome with anger at the loud noise of his classmates. He conjures a magic that destroys the court's ground, causing all the balls to fly up into the air. Iruma manages to identify the real one and without hesitation grabs it with all his strength. Agaras is eliminated for using magic on the field, resulting in another loss for the yellow team. The protagonist is happy that he was able to successfully perform his grab. Now with the ball in his hands he prepares to make his throw, but there is a problem. He remembers that he only practiced his defense and not even his offense, and he doesn't know how to make a powerful throw. Sabnok takes the ball from his hands and tells the boy that he will take care of the situation. The bully aims his aim at Asmodeus, who was still unthoughtful. He throws the ball with all his might, but the boy Wonder stops the ball, which was at supersonic speed, using only one hand. Asmodeus is enraged, for he was pondering how he could help his friend. Enveloped in his rage, he shoots the ball at Sabnok, who is eliminated that very instant. Clara tries to avenge her teammate, but is also eliminated by the boy Wonder. And so the game continued with more and more demons leaving the field. There were so many eliminations that in the end only two students remained, Asmodeus representing the red team and Iruma, the last member of the yellow team. The boy prodigy, realizing the situation he was in, has the idea of letting his friend hit him to win the game. On the other hand, he remembers all of Iruma's effort in his training and his dedication to becoming stronger. Taking this into consideration, Asmodeus decides to use all his strength against his colleague. After all his friend's training would be in vain if he won easily. The two friends prepare for the clash in order to win the victory for their teams. At this moment, Ameri goes to the test site with the student council, and tells her classmates that she wants to observe the confrontation that is taking place. On the field, Asmodeus, surrounded by a flaming aura, concentrates his energy in his hands and shoots a flaming ball at high speed towards his friend. Iruma takes courage and casts his fear aside, running up to the ball and grabbing it with all his might. The protagonist then uses the very force that Asmodeus applied in the throw to return his shot as a counterattack. The boy wonder is hit, and so the game ends with the yellow team winning. All the classmates celebrate the end of the battle, congratulating the two players for the amazing contest. Professor Kalego declares that Iruma has managed to rise in rank, now belonging to level 2. The boy feels something he has never experienced before in his life. Surrounded by an immense feeling of happiness and with a big smile on his face, he realizes that all his effort was worthwhile. Ameri approaches the protagonist and tells him that what he was feeling is his ambition, that for the first time he was feeling the joy of having conquered a goal of his own. Back at home, Iruma tells his grandfather that he has managed to advance in level, and thanks him in the opera butler immensely for having helped him with all the training. That same night, the boy goes to sleep with a sense of accomplishment, happy to have finally found his ambition. The next day, the protagonist continues reading the new chapters of the manga to Ameri. However, the moment of reading and drama is cut with the ringing of the bell, signifying the beginning of classes. The girl tells him that she will contact him later so they can meet again, and so they each go to their study room. The class of misfits is surprised by the arrival of a new teacher. He introduces himself to the whole class. His name is Boss Robin, who is responsible for the family conjuration classes. That day, everyone is to participate in an outdoor study. The professor asks his students to summon their familiars. The first is Asmodeus, summoning his giant demonic snake. Sabnok says that his familiar is much better and then conjures up Kelpie, a kind of water monster. While the two dispute over who is the more powerful relative, Professor Robin asks Clara to be the next to perform the summoning. The girl is overcome by a feeling of joy and quickly summons her demonic pet, a Falfa, a rare monster known for its strange attitudes and peculiarities. Robin is impressed by her student. After all, she somehow manages to communicate with her family member who does not utter a word. The two are in perfect harmony, as if they were made for each other. The teacher explains that that day would be dedicated to his students interacting more with their own families, in order to strengthen the bond between them. He then asks Iruma to be the next to perform the invocation, and the boy is overcome by an expression of fear and tells his tutor that if he does the spell he will end up losing his life. Robin tells the boy to go ahead anyway, because he won't be in any danger. It was only as a form of study. At that very moment, Professor Kalego is in his office filing some documents. One of his assistants informs him that he has received another complaint from the students, claiming that Kalego always acted with anger and malice. The professor doesn't care at all about this, and suddenly to his surprise, he is teleported from his room to another location. Iruma invokes him in the form of his familiar and all his classmates admire his enormous courage for doing something so insolent. Professor Robin marvels at his student's little relative. The students on the other hand decide not to tell the new teacher anything about the real identity of the monster summoned by Iruma. Kalego in his monstrous form is enraged by his student's disrespect and in an act of rage tries to attack him. At this moment he is struck by a powerful bolt of lightning. After all, family members are not allowed to attack or disobey their masters. After a while, Iruma is face to face with his familiar. His teacher threatens him saying that if they are to attend classes together, the boy must get top grades and do very well in the tests. Otherwise, the protagonist would receive a strict punishment, since the boy can give orders to his creature only when he invokes it. Robin asks the two of them to participate in a cooperative activity, namely, throwing a discus and asking his family member to fetch it back. Iruma frowns and says that he will not participate in this, but Kalego says that this is part of the assessment and his student should get a good grade. The protagonist then ends up performing the test with his creature, and the students, watching their teacher walking very slowly, end up jeering and making comments about him. Iruma asks them to stop this immediately. After all, they did not know what the teacher was capable of doing in a possible outburst of anger. And in this way, the bizarre duo of master and familiar manages to complete the test, while doing various other activities that required the cooperation of the two, such as dancing and participating in a race together. At the end of the class, Asmodeus and Sabnok were using the power of their familiars, about to start a real fight to find out who would be the winner, the gigantic fire snake or the demonic seahorse. Kalego observes this situation and immediately gives the two students a moral lesson. The professor tells the two misfits and everyone in the class that the familiars are demonic creatures that obey orders only when they are summoned. However, if not taken care of properly they could rebel against their master, creating a situation of extreme danger. And with that, all the students spent the rest of the class pampering their families with all the love and care. When Professor Robin's class time was over, he was harshly criticized by Professor Kalego, who ended up giving him several assignments as a form of punishment. Iruma and his friends were in the dining hall. The boy was happy that he could finally taste the level 2 food. But his peace goes away when several girls begin to approach Asmodeus, because they idolize him for his beauty and his strength. When the boy wonder has finally managed to get rid of all his fans, he shows his friend a small poster about the battlers, a group made up of students where their only goal is to rise to the next level. The groups are made up of demons who want to use a specific skill to move up in rank. There are some teams such as the Sky Battlers, students focused on using their flying techniques, magical creature battlers, pharmaceutical students, and many others. Asmodeus explains that by participating in one of these groups he could reach a higher level faster. After all, there would be no need for an exclusive test to decide this, only the individual achievements of each student already show his true capacity for evolution. Iruma reasons well and realizes that this was about school clubs, where students perform extracurricular activities to get a good grade. However, he realizes that his friends do not know the meaning of club. The protagonist agrees to join a battle group. Asmodeus says that more than 60% of the students are already in some group and that his friend should quickly choose one to join. Iruma asks what the process is like to join a group, at which point the boy wonder places his friend on a table and asks him to just wait, because soon he will be chosen by some team. A few seconds pass and suddenly the cafeteria door is opened with absurd violence. At that moment, the veterans of the school were looking for new students to join their teams. Iruma is in a state of shock as he is confronted by several demons looking to recruit new allies. The hunt for newcomers is declared and all the veterans search tirelessly for first-year students. A large crowd tries to approach Asmodeus to recruit him, but they are all repelled with an incredible fire barrier created by the boy wonder. The trio of friends now make their way safely through the corridors of the institution. Observing the pandemonium that this place has become, the newcomers are recruited in every way. The veterans use dirty tricks, threats, and even magic to get new members. That mess is in full swing, but it is immediately stopped when the students realize that the student council has attended the hunt for the newcomers. Everyone respects and fears the president of the group. Her presence already calms everyone who was in that place. Iruma observes the girl and finally discovers that Ameri is the president of the council. The boy continues trying to understand how this is possible. After all this time he thought he was talking to and reading manga to an ordinary student at school. She approaches the protagonist and completely clumsily declares that the student council is recruiting first-year rookies and then hands the boy an application form. After this she returns to her classroom with her classmates. The bell rings and at that moment it is declared the end of the hunt for the newcomers, so the veterans return to their classes. The vast majority are disappointed that the recruitment did not go as expected. In the classroom, Professor Kalego informs his class that it is essential for each student to choose very well which battle group they will join, as this is the only way they will be able to rise in rank. Later, all the first-year students head for the Battler's Tower, a place where all the veterans advertise their groups to the newcomers. With only a few seconds on the spot, Iruma is carrying a mountain of pamphlets. As the boy never says no to people, he accepts every proposal that is offered to him. Asmodeus burns through that stack of paper with ease, and the trio moves on in the hope of finding a group that fits their skills. There, Iruma meets some of his classmates who are also still undecided about which group they should join. Clara on the other hand thinks about signing up to be a battler in Professor Rame's course. Asmodeus gets angry and asks why she keeps this idea of romantic magic in her head. Iruma was observing the place when, out of nowhere, the ring on his finger began to glow. The boy is forcibly taken by a supernatural power. He is speeding through the corridors when he finally bumps into another student responsible for the magic apparatus battlers. The two end up leaving a huge mess in the hallway, scattering several objects on the floor. The two apologize to each other. The senior identifies the ring on the boy's finger and claims that chaos happened because the ring sensed the presence of the necklace he was wearing. After all, they were both made of the same material. He explains to Iruma that his goal is to find some object that will allow any demon to use all kinds of magic. The boy helps him pack up his magic objects and reflects that his ring already has this power to perform any spell. After saying goodbye, Clara and Asmodeus, who were worried about their friend's disappearance, finally find him and again the trio goes out to look for other battle groups. They head to the Diabotanic Battlers, but eventually give up after the misfit girl is almost devoured alive by a carnivorous plant. The group moves on to the Library Battlers, a team trained in reading old books and translating documents from the past. However, some books in that place have spells of their own and this could result in great danger for the protagonist. The trio continues on their quest, passing the Demon King Battlers, Succubus Battlers, and even the Black Magic Battlers, where Clara almost took part in a macabre ritual. The bell rings and Iruma returns to his home after a long day of indecision. He informs his grandfather of the accident he suffered because of the ring, and Sullivan then performs the refinement on the object, causing it to be set to level 3. After this, he asks his grandson to point his finger in the air and say, "Raphael." The protagonist is afraid, because the last time he followed the demon's instructions, he ended up conjuring a dragon, but his grandfather assures him that this will not happen. The boy repeats the word of instruction and an evil flame appears at his fingertips. Sullivan says that it can be adjusted in up to 3 stages, each one further surpassing the power of the previous one. He also explains to his grandson that he must say the word, Pandorola, and with that, all the magic that is contained in the ring will be released at once, but warns the boy that he should only use it in a situation of extreme danger. The next day, the trio of friends walk around the school looking for a group, but none have decided yet. Clara is amazed at how many battlers there are at school. Iruma even goes as far as to visit the execution cannon battlers, but still believes he has not found the right team to join. While walking through the halls, the protagonist receives a message from a Mary, asking when he will visit the student council battalionists. The boy says that he will go there later. Suddenly an explosion occurs on Iruma's side. The boy realizes that the explosion originated from the room of the magic apparatus battlers, and again finds the veteran he met earlier. Which group will Iruma and his friends join? What is the relationship of the boy's ring of magic to the group of magical apparatuses? So, what did you think of this anime? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like it and subscribe for more anime recaps. See you next time.